What's up, YouTube? This is Corey from Team R4S, and I'm bringing you my new Trunks deck profile. This is the set 2 Trunks that we're going to be covering. In this Mecha Frieza format, I don't play the meta, so in this Mecha Frieza format, I had to find a way to combat it without having to use it. And Trunks just seemed to be a perfect candidate. He's one of the low-key leaders who actually got probably the most support out of any leader in this set. You might think that Yellow did, but I'd actually say Trunks got more overall support for him than any other leader in the set and any other leader in the game out of set 3. The deck focuses around on quickness, on stability, on hand advantage, and on applying pressure. And you'll see exactly how that works as I roll through the cards and the combos.
Bounce, 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 bounce. Yeah.
Alright, to start with, we're going to start with Mr. Steal Your Victory himself, Trunks. For you guys who don't know, on his Unawakened side, his effect is to draw a card whenever you combo. Well, the first time during your turn when you combo a card with an energy cost of 2 or more, you draw a card. On his flip side, he also has the exact same effect. The only difference is now when he attacks, you draw a card. Along with drawing a card from there. So the first thing we're going to start with is my favorite little fat bastard, 4 King Kais. He's kind of an essential tool in this format because you need to be able to survive big rushes and big decks that have big swingers. It just is what it is. Especially when you're dealing with Mecha GT and they can spam out a bunch of people with even only 1 energy or 2 energies. And apes also, because apes and anything else, basically. Being able to defend yourself is a little too important in this format. That also brings us to 4 Whis' Coercions. Best negate in the game still for the most part. Not really too much to be said about it. We have 4 Senzu Beans. It is also an incredible defense card. It's also great for attack. It's great for defense. You'll find yourself blowing your opponent out in one big combo phase when you combo a bunch of 1Ks that do things and returning your mana back up so you can do more combos. You very easily can drop your whole hand on your opponent. Next, we have 4 Kibito Kais. This is the new super combo out of set 3 for blue. Honestly, there's no real reason to play Piccolo anymore unless you have attack with Piccolo like the 4-drop Gohan that grabs a Piccolo. But other than that, there's really no reason not to play it because unlike Piccolo, he's always live. You can always play him combo to draw a card, and you can always use his bounce your opponent's combo card back effect, no matter what your life is at, versus Piccolo, who's only useful when you have 4 or less life. And he's also still a god, just like Piccolo, so he works well with the god support too, just like Piccolo. Next we have Mai. Pretty easy why I'm playing her. She is a free blocker, and that's like super crucial. We have 4 Kind Heart Yajirobe. Because, once again, blockers and defense are really super useful in this format, especially blockers with revenge. In a lot of situations, your opponent, especially Mecha apes, will just kind of stop in their tracks and be like, well, how am I going to get around this guy? I don't understand why they stop. I would run my apes into them really, really fast and just pay the difference later on by dropping another 2, but that's just me. We have 4 of the young Trunks, the Unyielding Spirit Trunks, because it's just like Senzu Bean, except it's only on the attack. It has no defensive purpose, but it's still perfectly adequate at untapping your energy so you can extend your combo plays so you can beat your opponent better. We have 2 Mafubas, a little more defense. you'll notice almost half of the deck are cards that can defend you one way or another, and the other half is combo pieces, and then you have like a finisher. That's pretty much the whole deck here. Next, we have Bodyguard Legic. So he works just like Cyber Dragon. If your opponent has drops and you don't have drops, you can play him for free. He's a 15k blocker, which means any unawakened leader will not be able to get over him unless it's like Mad Sand, who has an effect that literally gives him an extra 5k attack. So he can be very useful at staving off attacks, and he's actually a pretty decent a pretty decent attacker himself because he has 15k, and you'll need him. But the free is what really makes him useful. We have 4 no opening Son Goku. This is one of your most crucial pieces because it combines a lot of really useful things. 1, it replaces itself. 2, it's a combo piece that allows Trunks to draw. And 3, it allows you to self-awaken. Don't pay attention to the yellow on it. Even though it does say that you can't put it in play via comboing it in without a yellow leader, it does perfectly allow you to pick up the prize. And that's all that really matters for the card. We have 2 Furthering Destruction Champas. Some people might want to play more than 2, but honestly, if I'm being real with you, I probably wouldn't. I feel as if in most opportunities, in most cases, I'm not willing to combo out the extra energies to try to keep Furthering Destruction in you. I'd rather gain cards while you pick up cards. That way we're either even in hand advantage, or I'm still gaining in hand advantage as you gain in hand advantage. That's kind of the point. When they have to stop your Trunks, they not only have to stop more, but you didn't lose cards, you gain cards. And that's one of the bigger advantages to the way he can pressure your opponent. We now have 4 of these unbreakable Super Saiyan Gokus. The big thing about it is they allow you to draw a card when you combo them. That's all you really need out of them. So they become, essentially, they're on the defense, they're an extra super combo that just costs you a mana. On offense, they are an extra super combo that costs you a mana and draw you an extra card. We have 4 of these overseeing, these Trunks Power Overseeing Time and Trunks, Xeno Trunkses. This is actually a really slept on card from this set. I say that because it's relatively cheap, only costing you 2 mana to put in play. He grabs you a card out of your discard pile, which becomes your warp zone, so it grabs your card out of your warp zone. So you can literally recur any of your combo pieces, any of the blockers you may need, or anything else you just generally need out of the deck, as long as it's not an extra card. Next, we have 2 Mad Saiyans. Just a little bit of removal, especially when you're playing things like Mecha Veggies and stuff like that tries to drop a lot of little guys to deal with you. So it's really useful against like Pan and things of that nature. And it's still relatively cheap. We try to keep it cheap or free in terms of drops, so you never have to worry about mana disparities. You can keep your mana for when you need to make the really big play. And last but not least, the real secret sauce of the deck, Fu. Fu is broken. There's really nothing to be said about him. He's overround 6, but he requires you to overround 10 cards. At least 10 cards. But his effect is so powerful because it is the only card in the game that completely shuts down every deck that it's playing. His effect stops your opponent from using any activated effects. There's super combo activated effects like the draw a card part, or even the gain the 10k part, or even whatever extra effect that you may get. Can't use that anymore. Can't do it. Blocker, can't use that anymore. Negates, can't use that anymore. If it's not a leader effect, it's not getting used as long as Fu's effect is active. So he's usually how you win the game against Mecha Frieza and a lot of other decks that like to play real defensive because they realize there's nothing they can do other than try to out-combo you. And you're playing against a deck that literally thrives off of comboing against its opponents. So it's almost impossible to stop them in that sense. So the big things to take away from it if you're trying to play this deck is that to use the defensive pieces to be defensive. And I know that seems like obviousness, but it really isn't. A lot of the times, the biggest advantage this deck has is not its speed; it's actually how long you can make your opponent sit there and not be able to do anything to you. You can literally build walls of defensive blockers and blocks and hold negates and do really well. It's also a deck that is relevant whether it's awakened or not. The biggest thing to remember is that when you get down to 4, there's a certain way you want to awaken Trunks. And I'm going to tell you this because it's probably the most important part of playing this deck. So when you awaken Trunks, you want to get all of his effects. So I would say probably the best way to do it is something like this. So you'll want to attack with your other guy. Don't attack with Trunks, attack with your other guy. Combo out an Unbreakable Son Goku or the No Opening Son Goku or even a super combo if you have to, and get his first effect. Draw 2 cards off of him. Then you'll awaken, draw 2 more cards. Then you'll combo again and draw 2 more cards. Then when he's done, you swing him out and draw an additional card. So you can easily get a net plus of 2, 3, 4, 5 to your hand from Trunks on his awakening phase. This means that if somebody sells you down to 3 and then drops you to your awakening point, if you can stave off awakening at that point, you can literally get your entire hand back and apply a ton of pressure to your opponent. Easily. So basically that's the deck. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave a comment. Definitely like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. We're going to be bringing out a lot more content. Yeah, a lot more content, including analyses of the game, just different variety topics, along with more deck profiles and tips and tricks type stuff. I'm hoping to get you guys some gameplay of this deck also because, you know, it's better to see it in play rather than just simply hearing about it. The only real thing about it that's difficult is the games with this deck are not short games, depending on the deck that I'm playing. But I'll try to get you guys some gameplay up for this eventually. But I'm kind of on Valve time, if you know what that means. So, you know how you're still waiting for Half-Life 3, you might still be waiting for this deck profile, if I'm being real with you. I mean, the gameplay. But in any case, until next time, catch you guys later. Y'all have a good one. Bye.